So this week on the Stereo Image, we're lucky enough to have world superstar, incredible pianist Olga Kern joining us. And we're really excited because I'm excited because I never get to talk to actual piano players, real professional piano players.
Oh, thank you, Josie. It's so great to,
Thank you
be on
so
your
much.
podcast. Thank you for inviting me. It's exciting.
Well, we were absolutely blown away by your performance out here in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago. And I said to Jen, I would love to, if you would bother to be on a little podcast like this, I'd be really
Of
excited.
course.
Um,
Of course. I'm excited.
so you're in Santa Fe right now?
Yes, I'm in Santa Fe. I have concert later, recital, and then on Sunday I have concert with the orchestra. I'm doing a Haydn concerto, and then I'm doing
Okay.
Rachmaninoff Rhapsody on the theme by Paganini, which is incredible and very romantic piece. Perfect for Valentine's Day.
Right, exactly. Oh, that's wonderful. Now, I wanted to ask, have you played? We saw you at the Smith Center. Have you been out here in Las Vegas before performing? And I just
I
missed you.
actually been, yes, I've been, but it was in the old hall. It was in the old hall, which was not nice acoustically.
Right.
I was on tour with one of the orchestras, touring orchestras. I think it was a Warsaw Philharmonic or something like that. It's been a long time ago. I would say maybe 15 years ago, the last time I was in Las Vegas performing. So to play in this
Uh,
beautiful hall now, I mean, it's such a great change, and the orchestra sounded great. And of course, to work with Leonard Slatkin every time is just very special for me.
Right. Oh, yeah, he is really amazing. I've been a fan of his for 45 years. And,
Yes, no,
it was just such a joy. Mm.
it is always a joy to work with such a great musician like him.
Yeah, he's special. Uh, well, I wanted to ask you, I don't want it to be like an interview. It's more like just stories of
Yes,
of your time playing, and, a lot of the guests that I have are not musicians, and we talk about the way music is in their lives, but in your
yes.
case, music is your life, and
Music is my life. Yes.
right. So, I guess I wanted to ask, first of all, how much touring are you on the road all year, or how many dates do you do a year? This is a kind of
Yeah,
professional question, but
yeah, it's more or less I am on the road all the time. If I'm not on the
wow.
road, I my base is in New York. I live in New York, so
Right.
I am teaching there. I am a professor at Manhattan School of Music. So when I'm at home, I'm not at home because I am in school teaching. So it's like
Right.
circles. I'm either on the road performing or I'm at home teaching. So yeah,
Mhm.
I love my life. I love that through music I meet incredible people. I
Mhm.
love that I can see the world. I can share my performances, my love for music with so many different audiences around the world. So, I feel really lucky that I am in the profession which I love so much. And, through music, we
Mhm.
met. Jonesy, I mean, I heard you in Las Vegas. I was blown away. Jazz pianists for me, I mean, your level of playing and it's just it's
Oh,
incredible. And I was, of course, the whole show was unbelievable, but hearing you play like that, it was really,
oh, thank you. Well,
it's special. It's special. This is what I'm saying. I love that, through music I meet people like you, for example, or all my friends who I'm friends with, like real friends, I met through music.
uh-huh. I love my job. I've been with them as of last night, 24 years I've been with Penn& and Teller,
That's
and
amazing.
the only thing I don't get to do is ever play any ballads or slow music because my job is to get the audience excited for the show. So I play a lot of, a lot of over the top technical things just to try to get people that aren't really musicians or fans, just to get them excited. Because even if they don't
Yes.
know what I'm doing, they can say, "Wow, he does it really fast." Um,
Exactly. And I can relate to what you do with your hands. I really love that your left hand is absolutely identical to your right hand, and not all pianists can do that. For me, everyone who listened to me, they're all saying that, oh, your left hand is so great. So I relate this when I hear someone like you playing equally with both hands. That's the real professional we are talking about, because both hands needs to be
well,
equal. And
it's
for
true.
me, yeah, for me it's very important in any composition I play. It's both hands.
Right. Yeah, I have a hero that's a jazz pianist named Dave McKenna that sort of
Yeah,
invented that style of playing the bass lines and everything. That's was lacking for me when I hear a lot of the pianists in jazz that came around in the 1950s and 60s. They didn't really concentrate much on their left hand at all because they always
yeah,
had a bass player.
yeah,
So they never developed. I mean, the pianists, Art Tatum and Teddy Wilson and Fats Waller and all of the guys, the people that came out of ragtime and swing and stride, that idea of playing the full instrument was always important to
very
me. And
important. Yeah,
I grew up with 2 player pianos in my house, listening to piano rolls of old musicians. And so the
that's
idea
great.
of the whole piano being played is what I grew up hearing. So when I heard bebop and just heard like little stabs of chords with your left hand, I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
where's the rest of it?"
But
It but, well, I wanna ask, I had a wonderful conversation with Jeff Beal earlier this week.
yeah, he's great.
He's great, and, he promised that you had many stories, because
I do.
I
I
said, "We
do.
just like to tell stories." And,
I do. I do.
but, well, good. Well, we'll get to them. I wanna ask, obviously, you're from Russia, and, you're an American citizen now, but you're from a family of pianists, and so was it preordained that you would be a pianist? Did you have a say in it, or was it something that you loved from an early age? And, all of those things are questions I have.
Yes, yes, yes. I've been in United States for already 25 years. This year,
Uh-huh.
2026, is 25th anniversary of me being in this country.
Wow.
So I feel like this is my home. I grew up
Right.
with the pianists. So when you said that you grew up with the piano rolls, I grew up with real pianists. Both my parents were playing piano, and we had
Right.
two
Mhm.
pianos. They had a small apartment, and in each room they had piano. And I
Wow.
always, since I was born, I didn't see myself in any other profession than to play
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
instrument and to be in music. Um, Yes, I studied in Moscow Conservatory, and my family, they're like all musicians from generations to generations. And my
Wow.
great grandmother came from Ukraine, and she was
Okay.
opera singer in the Kharkov Opera Theater, and she
Mhm.
was good friend of Rachmaninoff, and Rachmaninoff accompanied
Wow.
her in many concerts,
Wow.
and we have programs from those concerts, and um,
Oh.
her mother, my great grandmother, she was a pianist and a very good friend of Tchaikovsky.
Oh my goodness.
And we have unique letters and photos from Tchaikovsky to her. Some of them
Oh,
Some of them already in the Tchaikovsky Museum because my grandfather wanted to share our history.
sure.
And yeah, he gave it to the museum, Tchaikovsky Museum. So of course, growing up, in a family like this, I always wanted to play an
Right.
instrument. And because my parents both played piano, for me, there was no other instrument than piano. I
No other,
loved
right.
piano. And, I had
Mhm.
this very interesting story. I was 3 years old, and my mom loved ballet. She loved ballet, and
Mhm.
she's originally from St. Petersburg, and the St. Petersburg Ballet is one of the most famous in the world. And she wanted me to become a ballerina. So at 3 years old, I am going to a really tough ballet classes. Believe me, that was really something I will never forget. How the really tough teachers was bringing my leg up in the air, and
Oh,
I
no.
was yeah, I was just crying, and they were stretching my leg more and more, and without any mercy. And I said to my mom, after half a year, I said that I was little, but I understood that this is not my thing. I love to watch
Not for
ballet,
you.
but this is not for
Uh-huh.
me. And I said, Mom, please, I want to sit at the piano and just play this instrument. I don't want to be a ballerina. I just don't want. And actually,
Right.
they can immediately say if your child will be in a ballet since early age. They can see if the child will grow and be tall. So they actually told my mom that I will be tall woman, so I am not good for ballet. So
Oh,
that was
oh,
that
good,
was
good,
the
good for you.
yeah, that was the end of a ballet classes. So yeah, I started to play piano. I was like 4 years old, and I was always trying that keyboard, and I was so interested, and
Mhm.
I loved that instrument. So yeah, it was very natural for me. It's the same like for my son when he was born. I wanted him to play
Right.
cello or violin, and I love cello. I really wanted him to play cello, but he
Sure.
said, "Mom, no, only piano." So it kind of like
Really?
runs in your blood. I suppose,
It does.
definitely in our blood, in our family. So,
Right. One of my dear friends was the late, Gary Carr, who was an
uh,
incredible, bassist, and I believe he was a 7th generation bass player.
wow,
And
wow.
he just it's the same thing. It really runs. I believe that it does. It runs in families.
Yes,
But and you certainly
somehow
had
it
an.
does.
I mean, I'm assuming it was an incredible advantage and not a horrible. I'm assuming your
No,
parents
no.
were supportive.
No, actually, yeah, growing up with first of all, my mom was my first teacher.
Okay.
And growing up with a piano teacher in a family, of course, helped me a lot because, I could see that my friends whose parents were not in music at all, they were struggling sometimes with practicing, with understanding
Mhm.
of this or that piece. With me, with my mom,
Right.
I could always ask her for her advice. And of course that was
Right.
easier for me, and I had advantage. But with the advantage also, there are another things involved, like you need to practice no matter if you have parents pianists or not. If you are not practicing, if you are not into this profession 100%, even with all of these advantages, nothing will happen. So for me, in my case, I
Right.
really work hard, and I am a workaholic. I love working. That's why probably I am on the
Mhm.
road so much and I'm performing all the time, because I can't say no. I need to go and
Right.
do something, and challenge myself. So with this, in mind, it was, of course, advantages, but at the same time, if not my will and my practice, I don't think I will be who I am right now, you know.
Oh, of
So
course. No
I'm
doubt.
very happy, and I'm very lucky that I grew up in a family of musicians, and I understand music in a different level. Sometimes I feel it like this, you know.
Right.
And of course,
Mhm.
presence of that spirit of Rachmaninoff and Tchaikovsky
Sure.
behind my shoulders,
Yeah.
I feel it sometimes. And, you know, when I
Right.
play Rachmaninoff music,
Ah,
I feel his presence. I feel
well,
his spirit. You know, it's very hard
su
to describe, but I feel it, you know?
Mhm. Sure, sure, and it leads me to one of the things that always I never know how to respond to it because people will say, "Oh, you're so talented." And talent is certainly, a part of it, but it's the thousands and thousands of hours of practice and work and
Yes,
that leads to being able to exploit that,
for sure. For sure.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure you see it all the time when you're teaching. There are students that practice just as much as anyone else, but there is a little something missing.
Yes.
And so it is, but I understand having that upbringing does give you a sense of, as you say, this you can feel the spirit sometimes coming through you. And having the idea of music in your home all the time and parents you can go to with any question, it's so good. I mean, and
Yeah.
again, it could go the other way. It could be, your parents nothing was good enough and they would not support you and they were, they were
That's
perfectionists,
true.
but it seems
That's
like
true.
you got lucky. Um,
That's true. That's true.
it's
You know,
that's very good.
I
Um,
wanted to tell the story because I might forget it, and it's a great story. I
sure.
mentioned the spirit of Rachmaninoff, so it's a very interesting story I have. So when I was 17 years old, I
Mhm.
was participating in the first international Rachmaninoff competition. It was in the Tchaikovsky Great Concert Hall, and it was all mono Rachmaninoff competition. So all the rounds were only about Rachmaninoff's music. So the first two rounds
Okay.
were a solo, big. Like the first round was 45 minutes, the second round was 1 hour. So it was a lot of Rachmaninoff
Wow.
big compositions and the smaller compositions. Then the third round was chamber music, and I needed to play the cello sonata, Rachmaninoff cello sonata, and also the songs with the singer. And in the last final round, it was one of the Rachmaninoff concertos, and I played already at the 17-year-old. I played Rachmaninoff's third piano concerto. So
Wow.
I'm working on Rachmaninoff's music, and I am so into his life. I'm reading his memoirs. I'm reading the letters
Mhm.
from his friends. I hear all his symphonic compositions, all of his, the compositions for voice, for, I mean, everything. I study
Right.
everything to be able to be in his music 100%. So I play the first round, and I am passing to the second round. So in the second round, okay, so we are talking about um beginning of the 90s, okay?
Okay.
I didn't have CD player. I only had LPs.
Okay.
So whatever my parents had on LPs played by Rachmaninoff, I heard everything. But they didn't have the
Right.
whole collection of Rachmaninoff's playing. And the whole collection was only available later in the end of the 90s, and it was produced by one of the Japanese labels, and they produced the whole, I think, 10 CDs of all Rachmaninoff, him playing, him performing, even conducting and playing with
Mhm.
Fritz Kreisler, and like all the chamber music,
Right. Sure.
everything, whatever he recorded, they all produced and put it on the CDs, but it was later. So when I was competing in the Rachmaninoff competition, the CDs didn't exist.
Okay.
And some of the compositions, I didn't hear how he played. So one of the pieces in the second round I am playing is Rachmaninoff's Barcarolle. So
Okay.
it's a beautiful piece, and the Barcarolle is about water. It's mostly song by the water or song on the boat, on the
Mhm.
water. So it's a lot of this, like, small, very fast notes with a beautiful melody. But I never heard
Okay.
Rachmaninoff playing, okay? I never heard him playing before. So the night before my performance, I am having a dream. And in this dream, I see Rachmaninoff himself in the big concert hall with
Mhm.
the beautiful concert hall, white columns, really big and gorgeous. And in the end of the concert hall, Rachmaninoff is sitting by the piano. And I am entering the
Mhm.
place, and he sees me, and he's like, "Olga, please come. You are late for the lesson. I am waiting for you." So, okay, I say, "Oh, maestro, I am so sorry." And he's telling me, "Okay, you need to sit and play something for me." And I said, "Okay, I don't know what to play." It's like, maybe, something shorter. And then I'm playing for him. I said, "I will play for you your Barcarolle." And I played for him a little bit of his Barcarolle. And he stopped me in the middle and he said, "You know what? I will not tell you any comments. I will just play for you." So he played for me his Barcarolle, and it
Uh-huh.
was in the way of very Rachmaninoff style, how he played very dry, mostly no pedal, little bit exaggerated, a faster tempo. I heard almost the
Mhm.
whole piece by him playing for me in my dream. And then I don't even remember how the
Wow.
dream finished. I don't remember, but I am waking up in the morning and I have that performance in my head,
Right.
and I am, coming to my mom, and I'm waking her up. I say, like, Mom, I just saw Rachmaninoff in my dream. uh, I mean, they really thought that I practiced too much already. They were a little bit concerned. But it was so real. It was so real, and I was so inspired. And I played the second round. Of course, I played like I already was worked,
Right.
this piece, and I didn't play it as I heard in my dream. But cut the story shorter. I won
No.
this competition. I was
Okay.
I got the first prize. I was 17
Ex
years old, and I was competing with pianists of 32-year-old, like really mature pianists,
Wow.
and I was chosen, and I got the first prize. So as the part of the prize, I got a really big tour in Japan.
Ah.
And I went there a couple of years later, and I saw
Mhm.
that set of Rachmaninoff's CDs, all of the sets there. I bought the whole
Mhm.
set, and I bought a little Walkman, that, a little CD player,
Right.
because I
Sure.
wanted to listen to that CDs immediately. And while I was checking what he was recorded and what he was playing, one of the pieces were Barcarolle in one of the sets of the CD. So I, of course, played it immediately. And I even now have a goosebumps, because it was absolutely the
Right.
same performance as it was in my dream. Believe it
From
or not,
in your
but
dream.
this is how it was.
Wow.
And I called my mom. I found the payphone, and I called her and I said, "Mom, you would not believe. I just heard Rachmaninoff's Barcarolle absolutely the same way as I heard it in my dream. I mean, this is what I wanted to tell you about how much I feel sometimes the spirit of Rachmaninoff. It's
Right.
just there. So that's my story,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm not crazy. Believe me,
That's a
I am a
great.
normal person.
No. No, you don't seem crazy at all. But, no, well, I mean, and if we were to get all analytical about it, I would say that besides the fact that you had it in your dream, I bet you were thinking, you know, having studying his music and his life and everything so deeply that you had an imaginary idea of what it would be like to hear him play it. You know
Yep,
what I mean?
yep.
That may have contributed to it. But it's a wonderful story, and
It's
it doesn't surprise me at all that when you heard it,
yeah.
it
Yeah,
was
and
what you expected, you know?
I
And
shared this story, this Van Cliburn, because in 2001
yeah,
I won Van Cliburn competition, which is one of the biggest competitions in the
right.
piano, classical
Oh, yeah.
piano music world, and it's like
Of course.
Olympic Games for piano, for classical piano,
Right.
and
Exactly, exactly.
I happened to know after winning. I must say that I was really privileged and honored that I knew Van Cliburn, and he was my friend and he was my mentor.
Wow.
And I spent so much time and hours, with him in his house in Fort Worth in Texas, and just
Oh my goodness.
sharing and playing for him. And I shared this story. I told him about my Rachmaninoff's dream, and he actually confirmed that he had a lot of stories similar to mine, with the spirit
Wow.
of Rachmaninoff. So I really believe, as you said, when you are into a music of a specific composer and exposed to his life, and like really learning and
Mhm.
studying all about a particular composer, I think you are like you already start feeling um differently how
Right.
he would like
Absolutely.
play, or how he would want to hear his music live, something like that, definitely there. And that's why I always tell my students, every piece you play, just don't just read the music and play it. Make sure that you study composer's life, what composer wrote in
Right.
this period of time, what he was struggling with, what was his personal life in that moment. Everything. I think
Mhm.
it's really important for us to know, because we are kind of
Absolutely.
hands over composers. Through us, this music becomes alive, and we're
Yes.
responsible for knowing a life of those geniuses.
Exactly. And in the case of, earlier composers that we have no recordings of, it's so important to study the conditions under which they wrote them and to understand what they were doing as a part of their whole output,
For sure.
as opposed to just, as you say, just seeing the music and playing the notes. It's but, so let's go back a little bit. So you won the Rachmaninoff competition, and then so you were like I don't wanna date you, I don't wanna age you, but, well, you were in your, like, mid-20s when you won the Van Cliburn, correct? Or like
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
mhm,
I was in early 20s, and it was a perfect age for me, because I was ready to win big competition like this. I already had a lot of prizes in a different competitions in the
mhm,
world. And another
right.
funny story I can tell you, before going to Van Cliburn
Yes.
competition, I was chosen to go to Morocco, to Casablanca competition, a piano competition. And it was very
Mhm,
interesting because um, that competition was, there were jury members, but also one part of this decision of the results were public decision, public opinion. And
Okay.
I was the
Mhm.
only woman pianist who were participating in
Uh-huh.
this competition, and all other were male pianists. So I
Sure.
when I was performing, I was playing in the final round. I was playing Rachmaninoff second concerto, which is very well known and famous and
Oh, yeah.
beautiful.
Sure.
And the public went crazy, mostly because okay, yeah, I hope I played well, but also because they were all male in the audience. Mostly were
Ah.
all men, because it's Morocco is a country, even though of course it's open, it's more open, and I had an incredible time there, and I stayed in a fantastic host family, fantastic people,
Mhm.
and being in that environment, where of course men can go anywhere, and I'm talking about
Right.
end of 90s. Okay, I am there,
Right.
I am
Sure.
performing, and I can see that almost all of the audiences is just men. And of course the public opinion was to put me in the first place right away.
Right.
But of course there was a jury involved as well. So my piano playing was also
Mhm.
important. But yeah, I won. Just
Right.
speaking about competitions, so I won in Morocco, I won in China, I won in Italy. I was winning before, going to the competition like Van Cliburn. You
To
need to have
right.
experience. You need to have a repertoire. You
Exactly.
need to be ready. So I was in a perfect age, and I was ready. And winning this competition gave me, I wanted, why I was competing, I wanted to be on stage and perform. I remember I was
Mhm.
7 years old, and it was the first time I went to perform live on stage. And
Mhm.
I was playing Haydn concerto. It's a small orchestra
Okay.
in the it's just chamber orchestra, and 7 years old. Can you imagine the first time? I'm so excited. I
Yeah.
go on stage,
Sure.
and I see the stage lights going on me. I feel warmth and energy from the public. I was so comfortable. I was so
Mhm.
excited. I wanted to stay there forever. I didn't want to leave. I played my piece, and I was so happy with all the applause, and I didn't want to leave. So I knew from that moment, from 7 years old, that this is
Right.
my profession and this is what I
Wow.
want to do. I want to play. I want to be on stage and perform for people. So that's why I needed to compete in the competitions, because this is really one of the most important part of this generation, of my generation. It's to compete in the competitions,
Right.
because if you get a prize, if you perform in an important competition, you could be heard, and you can get a good management, you can get a recording company. So I wanted that. So when I
Right.
finally won a competition like Van Cliburn, I got to start my career. I got my management immediately. I
Right.
started to record, and
Wow.
so it was very important push for me, and I was ready, because it's very many times in the competitions nowadays, young people are winning, but what afterwards? They need to stay on top. They need to have a lot of repertoire.
Right.
They need to have a lot of different concerti with the orchestra, a lot of different recital programs. They need to go and go, because presenters are asking right away. Can you come and play this piece? Can you come and play this piece? You can't say no. You
Right.
need to be ready. So I was ready. I was ready.
Right. Well, yeah, it's clearly, and even in the classical world today, that's that's so important, and it establishes an artist. But I wonder, because certainly in the jazz world, the idea of when I grew up, because I'm older than you, but the idea was the same thing. You go to New York, you play with established musicians, you get a record contract, and you tour.
Yeah,
Um, but now the record companies are all gone.
I
There's
know.
there's that way of doing things is changed with YouTube and with self-publishing and all those things. Is that happening in the classical world?
It's changing a little bit, but I must say that still, artists are recording and artists wants to record. Why?
Mhm.
Because it's our
Right,
work. We wanna just have it for first of all for us, to have it
right.
our
Mhm.
work, our result of our work. We wanna have that recorded. Yes. So that's why
Of course.
artists are still recording, and yeah, it's changing. Everything's available now on Apple Music, and you can hear
Right.
everything, whatever you want, completely for free. It's changing, but still. I know that artists still want to record, and it's a part of our
Of course.
work. It's part of our job, and I feel like, after pandemic, we have more recordings, video recordings, because a lot of times concerts are streamed,
Mhm.
and streamed concerts are,
Right.
available online. And that's another source that, people can just see most of the time for free. But I must say that I still encourage all my friends and my audience to come and listen concert live, because a live concert, there
I
is
agree.
nothing like this. The feel, the energy of the audience, the energy from the artist. Every time something magical happens on stage, and I
True. It's so true.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't even know what to expect next time. It's always different. It's always spontaneous. It's
Right.
always, it's like this with music.
Yeah, it's exactly the same in all music. You have to experience it live. I know so many incredible musicians over the years that I've seen in person. I was very lucky to see many of my heroes, and the difference between their best recording and seeing them in a concert setting was so vast. You just can't capture it. Even live records don't really capture the feel of being in the room with the person and experiencing the well, especially orchestral music. I mean, what you do can't be reproduced in someone's home. Oh, I lost you. Oh dear. Um, okay, well, we're back. Um,
So
and
what did we? I forgot what we were talking about last week. How
I,
you were saying
um,
something, and then it just all stopped. So
so what I wanted to ask you, you've been here for 25 years now.
yes.
What was the what was the process like for you to decide that you wanted to live in the US, and how did you get here? I think is what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, so actually, it happened very naturally because I won Van Cliburn competition. We talked about that,
Right.
and I had so many concerts right after. It was 2001,
Mhm.
and I got immediately a lot of engagements and management and recording,
Right.
contracts. So I needed to stay in the country right away. Not
Right.
necessarily I knew a lot of words in English that time.
Oh.
I learned German most of the time, and I studied also sometime in Italy. As you
Mhm.
know, Italian language for musicians, especially for
Right.
classical music, is one of the most important languages because everything is written in the scores in Italian, right? All the
Yes.
terms is all Italian, and I always wanted to study at least for a little bit in Italy, and I was accepted after I finished my master's at the Tchaikovsky Conservatory, I got accepted to a great and very prestigious piano academy in Imola, in Italy, which is very close to Bologna. And
Okay.
this academy, that time, was one of the best piano schools in the world. And they
Uh-huh.
only were accepting 3 pianists each year.
Okay.
And the competition was crazy. It
I w
was, 100, 200 people for per one
Right.
place. So when I got in, and, it was so inspirational. And it was the whole academy, because it was a private academy, it was held in the Leonardo da Vinci castle. Can you
Really?
imagine, for a young girl to study
Sure.
in this incredible atmosphere, with Italian language, Italian architecture, Italian
Yeah, yeah.
history, and everything? For me, it was so important. And of course, I can't say that I speak Italian greatly, but I really understand and I love this language. So
Mhm.
when I was getting ready for Van Cliburn competition, I was spending a lot of time in Italy, and I was
Mhm.
playing for a great pianists and great piano professors from all over the world. They were coming to Imola and giving master classes.
Okay.
So I played for the best of the best. And this is
Right.
how I got also, as I talked about it before, I was competing in a different competitions before, to
Right.
get really, already understanding how I can compete and what I need. All of that. Really helped me to get to the level of competing in Van Cliburn, which is Olympic Games for piano. So
Sure.
I was preparing in mostly in Imola, in Italy. So this language and this atmosphere really helped me a lot, and I was very inspired being there. And
Yes.
that's why I, with Italian, German, I came to participate in Van Cliburn competition, knowing probably 30 words in my vocabulary,
Wow.
English
Uh-huh.
words. And after winning, immediately, press, immediately,
Oh,
interviews,
sure.
and they made also a great documentary of that particular Cliburn
Right.
competition. And
Yes.
it was made by Peter Rosen, who is a great documentary
Mhm.
director. And in that movie, you can see that, yes, I'm expressing myself. I love to talk, but my English vocabulary is very limited. Yeah.
Right.
So I needed to speak, and I wanted to speak, and I wanted to really tell everything how I feel and what so
Mhm.
it took me, I must say, that after Cliburn, and it finished, the competition, I think, finished in June 2001. And
Mhm.
usually prize winners are going back home, no matter where
Right.
they are, United
Mhm.
States or Europe or anywhere abroad. Then they prepare for their concert tour and coming back usually in September. Yes, so they
Okay.
have few months in between to really breathe, rest,
Yes.
and then start their tour. So for me, it was not the case, because right after I won, Boston Pops invited me to perform in Boston Symphony Hall,
Sure.
and they invited me with a totally different concerto that I played in the final round of Cliburn. So I needed to stay there. Right there in US. The Cliburn competition is in Texas, as I mentioned.
Yes.
And then I prepared for another piece, another great Rachmaninoff piece, Rhapsody on Latin by Paganini. And then
Mhm.
I went to Boston, I played there. So it took me a longer time to stay in United States. Plus, I had a great host family. I stayed while in the competition, and she's still like my second mom.
Oh, that's
My
wonderful.
Susie is just amazing. And this one story how I was learning English is really funny. I was getting ready for the semi-final round of Cliburn competition.
Mhm.
And I am practicing and practicing. I practiced maybe 20 hours a day, really,
Oof.
literally not sleeping. And then I'm practicing in her living room on a really wonderful, beautiful Steinway little piano. And
Mhm.
she's coming every second hour and saying, Olga, stop playing, take a nap. And I had
Right.
no idea what take a nap means. And I didn't want to tell her that I don't know. And I was telling her later, Susie, later. And every other second hour she was coming and saying, you need to take a nap. So after 6 hours practicing nonstop, she's like, you need to take a nap. And I said, Susie, but I don't know what to take. What do you want from me? She started laughing. So this is how I was kind of learning English little by
Right.
little with the phrases. And I stayed in the country for almost 3 months nonstop.
Mhm.
And in the third month, I start dreaming in English.
Really?
That's when I knew my brain
Right.
completely divided these two, like
Sure.
my main language
Mhm.
and the English. So I don't think when I speak, and I immediately after the 3 months I was not thinking already. Maybe I didn't have all the vocabulary. Of course, it took me years
Right.
and years until I can express myself very easily right now. But anyway, I could speak, and I was not thinking. I was not translating
Right.
to
Right.
English.
Well, that's the key step.
And
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
key. So that's after 3 months I understood that this is my language. I love it
Mhm.
here, and I had a lot of concerts in United States. I had my host family. I felt not alone. And of
Mhm.
course, as I said, when Cliburn was still alive and I could always come back to Texas and spend time with him, it was really special times. So this country for me was my second country, my second home, and
Mhm.
now is the first home. And I mean, I've been here 25 years, and
Right.
I can say I'm so proud that I got Ellis Island Medal of Honor for the
Oh,
for
congratulations. That's
yes,
wonderful. Wow.
it's been already more than no, it will be 10 years actually when I got the
Wow.
medal
Mhm.
next year. So it's for the immigrants who really did something very important
Right.
for United States. So I'm really proud that I got that medal. It was in
Yeah.
the next to Statue of Liberty in New York. It was a special reception at the Ellis Island,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
only for the recipients there was a special fireworks right there at the Statue
Wow.
of Liberty. I have this incredible medal with the Statue of Liberty. It's so special for me. So
Oh, that's wonderful.
it's a really an incredible place for me to work, to live, and I love my friends, and I love, I'm teaching in Manhattan School of Music in New York.
Right.
And my son is like a New Yorker already.
Right. Right. Well, he hasn't known anything else.
Yeah.
His whole life spent here, right?
Yes.
And, do you live right in Manhattan or
So no, I started for the first 2 years because I really was completely new to the country. I
Mhm.
lived in Texas.
Mhm.
So I was actually not that far from TCU, Texas Christian University area in
Yes.
Fort Worth.
Mhm.
And I had a little piano and a little place to stay. So that was the first years. And then in 2003, I got my first Carnegie Hall recital. It was
Okay.
my debut. And then when I went to New York, I was like home somehow.
It's
I had so many friends there from my
Mhm.
school years, from my, childhood,
Wow.
and they all came to me backstage and said, Olga, you need to live here.
Right.
So I
Right.
start looking for the apartment, and I rented apartment for 10 years, and then I have my own apartment. And I was close to Carnegie Hall first, and
Mhm.
then now I'm closer to the Lincoln Center. So it's all
Oh, sure.
musicians area, and
Right.
it's great. It's so
Oh,
exciting to live there.
it is, as Penn often says, there's New York and there's every place else.
Else, yes,
You
yes,
know, we were back, we played Radio City, Music Hall, this past summer,
yes,
and
yes. I heard.
I hadn't been back in 10 years, or no, longer,
Longer,
and,
wow.
it's changed so much since I
Yes.
lived, when I was there in the '80s and '90s. It's a different place,
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah. Completely. Yeah.
but it's wonderful that you've made a life. Well, I mean, you would have had a successful life anywhere with your talent,
Yes.
but to have a home base of New York is really good.
Yeah, base, base. I wish I would spend more time there. Of course, I'm
Uh-huh,
on the road all the time, but it's just so good to come back there. It's a great base. It's so comfortable to travel from and
uh-huh,
to, because it's very central for me to go to Europe.
yeah,
I perform there very often.
uh-huh,
So it's like a really great bridge for me, and going from New York to the West Coast, it's a really good place.
uh-huh,
With, as I said, with a lot of friends for me there. I really
right.
feel like home.
Oh, good. And have you been able to go back home to the Soviet Union, I mean, to Russia at all, or?
Yes, I was there, but not lately. No, not lately.
Mhm,
But of course, I always performed there, and
right. Well,
now that my
you must be like a huge superstar there.
yes, everything, it
Mhm,
was special. It was like, I remember when Cliburn came there also, and gave, I must say, like a historic comeback concert.
yeah,
He came there, was like, I would say maybe 2008 or something like that, and he
mhm,
gave a half of the concert recital and half Tchaikovsky concerto in the second half. And
uh-huh,
he didn't play recital for like almost 20 years that time already. So it was very
right,
special. Why I'm saying that? Because I was in Japan performing, and then I knew I need to be at that concert there, right? And it
yes,
was a Tchaikovsky Hall, Grand Hall,
uh-huh.
of the conservatory. And I managed, and no one told him that I would be there. So I
Oh,
managed to be there, and he said, no one can come on stage, because there was a lot of people who wanted to greet him,
of
but
course.
I could,
Oh,
because everyone knew me, of course, everyone. So I said, I will organize the way that, and his partner said, okay, Olga, I bought like, my father was still alive, and he was waiting for
mhm,
me at the airport. And he's like, I bought 50 roses because I know that you told me that Van loves burgundy roses. So it was a 50 great
yeah,
quality burgundy
uh-huh,
roses. So I changed in the car. I went straight to the concert hall from the airport, and I could be on stage after he finished, his
mhm,
concert. And I, like, it was such a big bouquet. I'm going on stage. No one, like, I mean, almost no one could see my face because it was so big.
right,
And of course, he couldn't see. And then I needed to kind of like turn around so he could
sure.
see who it. And he said, Alyonechka. That's how he called me.
Mhm,
Alyonechka. Oh, and it was so special because I gave him the flowers. He put me next to him on stage, and he played for me with all of this, like thousands
wow,
of people in the
sure,
audience. He played for me one of the encores, which was Rachmaninoff's, one of the Rachmaninoff's preludes. He played for
mhm,
me. So it was just so special
wow,
that, in my
yeah,
place there, he, and everyone, of course, recognized that it was me, but he was playing for me,
right,
and I was on stage crying. So it was
of
just so,
course,
yeah, it was so special. I'll always treasure these memories. It's just,
of
yeah, yeah, it's just
yeah,
very special.
oh, well, well, I hate to say it, but, it's a wonderful story to sort of end this portion of our time with. because I would love to have you come on again and hear more
Yeah,
because
we should
we just
definitely do it again.
we'll definitely do it again. But this is but just quick, what's in your immediate future? Where do you head after Denver?
So after Denver, I'm playing in Annapolis with Annapolis Symphony. I'm doing Rachmaninoff second. Here in Denver, I'm
Hmm.
doing with Colorado Symphony 3 concerts of Shostakovich #1, which is a great,
Hmm.
exciting piece. Then after that, I'm going to be in New York for a few days because, as I said, I'm teaching in Manhattan School of Music. Then
Right.
I'm going to Nebraska. I will be there in Lincoln at the Lead Center. I love that concert hall. It's very beautiful. Then I'm playing a beautiful chamber music program in New York for the
Okay.
new School of Music there. They have a special concert hall there. So I'm doing it there, a special concert with one of my quartet's friends.
Hmm.
And then after that, I will be in Mallorca with the orchestra in Spain. Then
Hmm.
I am continuing. I have my festival in Virginia Arts Festival, my chamber music series there. I'm doing that, and then I already don't even remember. And I'm talking about March, April time,
Right.
and then continuing towards summer, Seattle,
Oh my God.
Tampa. It's like, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
almost nonstop on the road. So that's my
Oh,
immediate concerts.
right. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming, and it's been such a joy and honor to meet you and to hear your stories. And we will definitely do it again when you have time.
Josie, thank you so much
And,
for
and
having
I,
me on your
of course, and
podcast.
I can't
And
wait to hear you play again in person. It's just
thank you.
so inspiring.
Thank you
Really,
so
really
much.
wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.